It can only be a superwoman who can do this. And it is the God power that has been given to us. That is why we are doing this. And this is a 24/7 women that we are talking about who has to handle work and home and maintain a balance as well. I would like to introduce Anuradha Das Mathoji to speak on this issue and introduce the session. And ma'am, how do you think, because you are yourself an economist, founder and dean, so how do, in personal life, also we would like to hear your story, and in terms of professional life, how do you maintain that balance and what kind of a balance that is required?
And good afternoon. What a great introduction to the session. It is my absolute privilege and honor to speak with this august audience on the occasion of International Women's Day. It isn't often that one gets an opportunity to highlight matters of national importance directly to those who can deliver impact at scale, almost instantly. And so thank you for having me here and speak about an issue that is very close to my heart, an issue that I have been dedicating time, effort, and resources to the best of my ability over the last few years. I run an organization that's called the Vedika Scholars Program for Women. It's an 18-month, unique, first of its kind, all-women's management program. It is committed to ensuring financial independence for young women to make sure that they are able to enjoy meaningful and successful careers. Our girls are from across the country and from varied social and cultural backgrounds, but some things are true for each one of these young girls. They have aspirations and they want change. You all spoke about many facets of women's roles, but it is also a huge responsibility that sits on the shoulders of just women on this planet. They want a future, therefore, that is different from ours. I hope over the course of the next 10 to 15 minutes, we are all convinced that we need to do much more for each young woman with a dream in our country. As you said, our topic for discussion today is Working Women of India, Challenges at Home and at Work. I want to begin by asking you, why is this issue important? If we are doing all the things that we are doing, why is this issue important? Based on research and study on women and work issues, I'll tell you why it's important. It's important because India's statistics are abysmal. The statistics are abysmal both in absolute and in relative terms. In absolute terms, India's female labor force participation rate is 24.8%, which means 3 out of 4 women in India do not work. Now, this is a conventional definition which feels unfair anyway, given everything that we do. But according to statistics, only 3 out of 4 women in India are actually employed. We rank lower than our neighbor Bangladesh and even most of sub-Saharan Africa. The second thing is relative. India ranks 112 on the overall Global Gender Gap Index, which is a summation of economic, political, and social equality. The economic gender gap is even worse because India ranks 149th, according to the World Economic Forum, on economic equality. The thing is that these numbers are awful, but we are also witnessing a declining trend. हम लोग को लगता है बहुत हम लोग काम करते हैं, but the truth is that from 34% in 2006, women's participation in the workforce is today 24.8% in 2020. And during the pandemic, this has become even worse. Women have done much worse on the job front than men. All of this feels much more worrisome because this is happening. Women are working less and less, given the fact that women's education is doing better and better. In higher education, women today make up 48.6% of students. And the gross enrollment ratio for girls in higher education is actually higher than men. Despite that, we are only 23.4% of the workforce. Now, if all this is going on, why do we need to address this problem? ठीक है, problem है, उसको हम address क्यों करें? You know, there are obvious benefits. They are evident to all of us. We have seen the leadership of women during the pandemic. from our own health minister in Kerala to Jacinda Ardern to Angela Merkel in Germany. Countries with women leaders have done very different things, but they have done them very well. So the questions around whether women can lead, govern, command, grow, these have been settled. आपने भी बोला था कि नारी कुछ भी कर सकती है, लेकिन उसके बावजूद there are many other benefits that will accrue to our society and economy if there are more women in the workforce. The first is economic benefits. Human capital and talent are always in short supply. People are always looking for good talent. Part of the problem is that we don't access half of our talent pool. Caroline Ansey, she's a former managing director of the World Bank, she said gender equality is smart economics. Reaching gender parity would have a bigger impact in India than in any other region in the world, according to a report by a leading consulting firm. And if you increase women's labor force participation in India by just 10%, you could add $770 billion to the GDP by 2025 if we had begun in 2018. It is also a very well-known fact, as an economist I can tell you that no country has moved from being a low or middle-income country to a high-income country without significant female participation in the workforce. There are benefits to social equality. We conducted a survey some years ago. 60% of the women we surveyed believed that if they worked for themselves, they would have much better self-esteem, and reduced complete dependence on another person would help them feel more worthy and participate to the family's prosperity as well. There are also women's own aspirations. I want to share some experiences that we've had as a part of Vedika. I have interviewed roughly 1,500 young women as a part of this admissions process for our program in the last few years. You know what we found? That girls who have working mothers want their mother's life. Girls who don't have working mothers don't want their mother's lives. Now, as a woman, I was shocked that बच्चियों को अपनी माँ की जिंदगी नहीं चाहिए. They don't want that life. And I realized that today girls can see the indignity that their mothers face when they are completely dependent on someone else in the family. So it's very clear to us that this is a matter that one needs to address both for social, economic and equality reasons. अगर हम लोग सब मान लें कि भाई there should be more women at work, the truth is this is a very complex issue. और कई बारी हम लोग difficult issue को देख के सोचते हैं कि इसको छोड़ दो, let it be. But if we can solve for this, we have an unprecedented opportunity to change our economic and our social trajectory for times to come. We believe this space, which focuses on women's work and careers, has not received enough attention in India, primarily because policymakers, all of you who are in this audience, have been focused on underprivileged and needy women, which means women are always seen as a problem to solve and not a part of the solution. I don't think I'm a problem to solve. I'm a part of the solution for this country. And the thing is that empowering needy women and improving the lives of working women is not a zero-sum game. ऐसा नहीं कि एक का किया तो दूसरा से लेना पड़ेगा. Empowered women will empower other women. So far, we have focused on how women can survive. It's time for us to focus on how women can thrive. I would like to urge our audience today to bring a new pool of women into the consideration set and look at them as a powerful engine for change. This is the pool of urban, educated women. This is a group that has been constantly under-leveraged as an asset in our economy and society. Successive governments and families have invested by putting their girls through education, but it doesn't translate into benefits to the economy or to the families or to society in an economic sense. And if we can help this group a little bit, we can see many easy wins with very high impact, because these women will create a multiplier effect. आप एक औरत को सक्षम बनाएंगे, वो 10 और अपने family, community, बच्चियों सब पर उसका प्रभाव पड़ेगा. So If these women are so capable, they are educated, they got educated so that they could be empowered and have an economic identity, why are these girls not in the workforce? Why are women falling out of the workforce? Like I shared, our data from 36%, we have come down to 24% of participation in the workforce. Why do girls drop out? And हमको लगता है that there are two big factors at play. One are our homes, family, and society. All of us see these things. And the other is institutional policy and in organizations. But before I go into those details, I want to ask you, when did we last set a target for women's labor force participation? Have we ever heard anyone in our country talk about the fact that, bhai, this number is reducing, we need to take it to 35%, 45%, 50%? To the best of my knowledge, we have never set a specific target to improve our female labor force participation. There is no single agency that looks at these issues, and there is no one who takes the responsibility for this change. And therefore, it feels that at an umbrella overall level, this is neither a goal nor a priority for us. और जब तक वो नहीं होगा, how will there be steps to address it? If I talk about home, family, and society, the primary burden or responsibility of childcare and elder care falls on women, and this is true across the globe. ये सिर्फ हिंदुस्तान की बात नहीं है, सारी दुनिया में बच्चों और बुजुर्गों की देखभाल औरत की जिम्मेवारी होती है. But you know that if I look at the global average, women do unpaid care work 3.5 times more than men. Do you know that number for India? It's 9.8 times. We do 10 times the amount of unpaid care work for children, families, elders in India compared to the rest of the world. ये support offer करने के लिए हमारे पास infrastructure नहीं है. To add to it, women's careers, आपने बोला ना कि हमारे काम का कोई importance नहीं है, कोई मोल नहीं है. Women's careers are viewed as secondary. There is a global consulting firm which put out 2 comments. The first comment was, when jobs are scarce, men should have more rights to a job than a woman. The second comment was, when a mother works for pay, children suffer. More than 50% of the respondents in India agreed with both the comments. Men and women. Believe it? Now, the last thing I want to say in this societal and family issue is that हम अपनी बेटियों को बड़ा करते हैं ये बता के कि भाई आपको मन करेगा तो काम करना, नहीं करना होगा तो मत करना. I hear in big conferences very successful women saying, oh, I am very privileged, I had the choice to work. I am sorry, till such time that we have a face to feed, it cannot be a choice. इसका repercussion क्या होता है? That जब parents के पास एक जने के लिए collateral होता है education loan के लिए, they will give it to their son because that's an investment. The girl's education becomes like consumption because आपको पता नहीं है वो आगे आपको कहाँ ले जाएगा. It's optional. At an institutional level, like I said, we have very few comprehensive policies that make sure that men and women share in childcare and elder care to enable a fairer environment for women to work. We work with everything else staying constant. Access to financial services, resources, safe transport, law and order, none of these things are there in adequate measure, and all of them are limitations to us being at work. The other thing is that while we do all of these things, we put these out as women-friendly policies. They are actually working family-friendly policies. They are society-friendly policies. When we call them women-friendly policies, we already create a resentment amongst the other half of the population even before we've seen the advantages of these policies. And in organizations, everybody knows this, whether it's hiring, whether it's promotion. The structures have been built on the basis that men go out to work and women stay at home. So the division of labor works. If both have to work and both have to stay at home or work at home, only then will be able to create an environment where women are not disincentivized to be at work. तो हम लोग we teach our girls how to get jobs. We are not teaching our girls how to keep jobs. How do you negotiate at home? How can you navigate the challenges that both society and the workplace? ये सब बातें सुन के लगता है that these problems are so deep rooted and so structural कि इनको हम fix कर सकते हैं क्या? Is there a solution? Are there examples in the world where these problems have been solved? Within India, Himachal and Kerala, because of a different social and cultural context, do have better performance indicators. Globally, the Nordic countries, Norway, Sweden, all of these, they have closed 80% of their gender gap. इन्होंने क्या किया है? They give parental leave benefits. They have committed to paternity leave being made mandatory as opposed to only maternity leave. Then obviously the responsibility will fall on only one. The thing is कि वहाँ पर the outcome is more women in the workplace. In Norway, they say 83% of mothers with young children are in the workforce. हमारे यहाँ the number is 23%. And the foundation of this is that both men and women combine work and family. It's not that men go to work and women stay at home, and that's really a fundamental change. Now, I understand that none of these policies can be picked up from international environments and be put in India. But उसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि we have to ignore it. If there is something that has worked, can we look at these and see whether there's something that we can adapt to India? So हमने अपने organization में, we have looked at various enabling factors in different countries and different geographies. And today I want to close with just 3 actionable and practical solutions to get started. To not say कि भाई ये इतना मुश्किल है कि इसमें हम कहीं कुछ कर नहीं सकते हैं, let's leave it for now, अपने आप change होता रहेगा. So to start and solve a problem, you have to have a very precise definition of the problem. तो मैं पूछना चाहूंगी, do we know how many women graduate in India? How many of them actually join the workforce? How many of them stay in the workforce? Why do they drop out? What can we do to keep them in the workforce? The answer is, we don't know. In India, we don't systematically collect this data. So my first suggestion for today is, can we incorporate relevant women and work questions into the next NSSO survey? Policymakers in this country can make that possible. Without this data, we cannot identify the core problem, and therefore we cannot design evidence-based policy interventions. As a second step, we should use this data to produce an annual benchmarking report that tracks this. Are we doing better or are we doing worse? Right now, we don't know. My second suggestion is to institute a dedicated task force for working women of India. We know that a national task force or a mission is amongst the most effective ways of mainstreaming a neglected issue and giving it national importance. In the next 12 to 24 months, we must have a blueprint for India to close its gender gap, a blueprint that must be prepared by a dedicated task force. हमने commitments करें to improve our transparency index, the ease of doing business index, education index, many others. How about gender? It is, after all, half the population of this country and of the world. My third suggestion is to launch an initiative where our top 100 cities start to compete on becoming working family-friendly cities. We have a large youth population. Our youngsters are looking for more equality. Can we create spaces which means cities that have opportunities for economic growth, but they are safe, they have affordable and high-quality childcare and elder care, they have progressive gender equity policies, safe public spaces, public transport, law and order, etc. This will inspire and incentivize city administrations to start focusing on infrastructure and facilities that can help us deliver a better world for working women and working men. Can we commit to becoming a country that achieves the fastest rate of closing the gender gap? Can we commit that a certain percentage of our GDP must come from women's participation in the economy? Can we aspire to not need a Women's Day during our lifetime? These are very big asks, but I think it is the time for us to all be bold. Pulling women into the economy isn't a function of the budget alone. It requires policy design and political will. Our dream of becoming a $5 trillion economy is closely tied to the dreams of our women. There can't be a better place and time to start that than with this audience. So let's begin today. Thank you and Jai Hind.